All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Carbon Cardboard Podcast. Back after a 3-week temporary hiatus. There's a good reason for that. I'm your host, Bryan, Q3 Cards, joined as always with my good friend, Scott, at the F1 Castle. Needs no introduction. So, Scott, 3 weeks off, but you were in Down Under. We'll talk about your trip here in a little bit.
That's right.
It's not a trip if you don't have some controversy with your travel arrangements and whatnot. But we'll talk about once you were there, everything you experienced about the trip, who you got to see in the F1 card community, and wow, it's just a good time. Like, I mean, you were on your trip. I've been prepping cards left and right. Behind me here, I've got like stack of like 200 something cards. I still have to go through. Man, some of you F1 card collectors are maniacs, but I love it. It's so awesome.
Enthusiasts.
Yeah. We'll go with that. So, all right. So that's the plan. We're going to talk a little bit about the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne. And we're going to talk a little bit about your Nostradamus call of that race, and some castle calls for Suzuka, which is this weekend. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't get a wet race. I don't know. I feel like the last couple of years, it's always a little wet.
I remember that. I mean, last year was really bad, right? Last year was when they had like the 2.5 hour delay. So then the race didn't even finish. Like, it finished on like time. They didn't even get to do all the laps. And they weren't sure like whether it was me full points or not. That was when like, it's like, Max, you're champion. It's like, oh wait, are you? No. And there's the picture of him,
two years ago. Yeah, but no, I think they even had rain last year. I don't know. Like you, all the years blend together.
They do.
All right, let's get into it. So we've been away, but you were busy. You and the Queen of the Castle took the very long trip.
Yeah.
Down under.
Yeah. So, I mean, we went to Australia. There were a couple reasons that we were going to Australia, right? So I think, this goes back to November, right? Actually, back to when we were in Vegas and I ran the biggest F1 break ever. We ran one case of 2020 Dynasty, one case of 2020 Sapphire, one case of 2020 Chrome. So we ran all that, and I pulled a Lewis Hamilton flag patch out of Dynasty for cardboard hitters for good friend Julian. And that night we had decided, like, and who knows how serious we were at that time. Like, you're coming to Australia for the Grand Prix. Like, we're going to make it happen. I was like, oh yeah, definitely no. I mean, it is a card that, like, I mean, man, you'd go to pains to ship that thing. Right, like just the Lewis. So then a month later, right before Christmas, December 23rd, we pulled Julian cardboard hitters, the Max Verstappen 2020 Superfractor portrait. And so then at that point, it's like, oh, okay,
you're definitely going.
So we are coming, we are going. And so then we like booked our flights, got everything, meeting up with F1 Ben. Shout out to F1 Ben and his dad, hooking us up with some tickets as well. We end up getting another set of tickets too, because we only had them for a couple days through Ben. So then we had like 2 different seats, which was awesome. Actually, we were like bouncing back and forth during some of the different events. But yeah, so we're going out to Australia to deliver those cards. Also, F1 Ben's Gold Wave Max Verstappen. Yep, there we go. It's me, F1 Ben, and Julian. Cardboard.
You mean that's Valtteri Bottas in the middle? That is
the mustache.
F1 Ben has a serious stash. I am so jealous, Ben.
It's a solid stash.
Yeah,
it's a solid stash. Yeah, I definitely do. Rocking the Peach Fuzz. But so we met up. We met up in Melbourne Airport. Like the 3 of us, and Ben has brought his son, and my wife, of course, Queen of the Castle, was there as well. And we met up. We hung out for like 4 or 5 hours. And then we were supposed to take a flight, my wife and I, to go up to Cairns, go to Port Douglas, to have a little bit of like a trip before the race, right? We got there like 4 days before the race weekend. So we're going to go up to Port Douglas. And of course, they canceled our flight. So we had to fly to Townsville. And then I had to drive the gray Alpine they gave us like a 10-seater van. They gave us a 10-seater van. We asked for a sedan. All they had was a 10-seater van, and we drove it from Townsville to Port Douglas, 5-hour drive in the middle of the night. Like I got us there at 2:30 a.m. on the other side of the road.
On the other side of the road. I would freak out, my friend.
Dude, it was wild. And if you know anything about Australia, like being up in Port Douglas, Cairns area, like that drive from Cairns to Port Douglas is like windy roads. You're on a cliff, basically. Dude, and they had just had a landslide there. So, you know, it was, some of it was shut down in one lane. It was pretty hairy, but we made it there. And then we had a few days up there. We went and saw the Great Barrier Reef. We went into the Daintree rainforest, did a lot of cool stuff up there, and then came back to Melbourne, right? Then we flew back into Melbourne for the whole race weekend. Got to meet up with Julian again, with Ben again. So I think Ben we hung out with like every day. Saw my man PJ, saw Tim, Lukey, tons of people, Mouse. There were a lot of people that were out there. It's really cool. You know, you go to literally the other side of the world, man. Like it's like a 24+ hour trip, like start to finish to get there. Wow. You are literally going forward like almost a day and then backwards a day. But you go to the other side of the world and you get there and it's just, we're all watching F1, collecting F1 cards. Like it's just so cool. That's what I love about how global F1 and F1 cards are, right? Like there's collectors everywhere in the world. So super cool. The race itself was pretty awesome. But yeah, just, you know, that was kind of the trip. There's the Queen and I. So these are the tickets that she bought. She got us start finish straight tickets, like we were row 1. So we're like right down there. We were next to I believe it was like the 6th place grid spot, 6th or 7th. It was where George Russell started. I think Russell was either in like 6th or 7th starting there. So we were like right next to him. Man, it was crazy. Like he's literally like 15 feet away from you when you're sitting there and seeing the start. We sat there for the start of the race. We were also there for qualifying, which was super exciting because you're at the point where they start their lap and where they end their lap. So you see the time come up on the board and like on the pole, and you get to go crazy or get really sad when Danny Rick's time gets deleted. But yeah, so super cool. Obviously the race was awesome. Had a pretty good call, you know, as far as the race was concerned. And we called this like, you know, this was like a week or like 4 days in advance. I said Max is going to have a technical issue. Ends his winning streak. Lap 1. Oh. Boom. But I you know, it's not completely fair, right, though, because like I did get to go into the paddock and I brought a stack of 2023 Chrome base with me and I like put it in Max brake ducts. So, you know, I kind of put in the fix there on Max. So,
on your Instagram, I saw you kept tagging Tops and Finax Live and stuff. I saw you like handing out packs of cards to lots of fans. Talk about that, because it was funny because at one point you were looking under rocks and nooks and crannies to find a Lance Stroll fan, and there just wasn't one to be found.
Yeah. So what we were doing basically is, so first of all, we went around to like, we looked for like some pretty young kids, right? Like I was really like looking for really young kids that were there with their parents, and we just gave them packs to open. And I want to film any of that because, you know, you don't want to get into any of that. Just wanted to make some kids' day. So they got packs. And then we went and opened some packs ourselves to have like the single cards. And then from there, we're like, all right, let's try to find a fan of one of, you know, whatever card it is. And, you know, obviously like they're based, none of the cards were like huge or massive. But again, most of the people we're talking to, they don't really know what the cards are, and they're just like super excited. Everyone was super excited, like that there were cards. Like, oh my god! Like every single person that I went up to was super happy, extremely thankful. And I have some more footage I'm actually gonna be posting over the next couple days, putting together a little reel that was just like awesome, man. I mean, we would find like a Leclerc card and a Max card and a Lewis card, and there's tons of fans there. What was funny is we never opened a Piastri card. And that would have been easy. I mean, I could have gone there with 1,000 Piastri cards and given them out in like 10 minutes because everyone was a Piastri fan. So it was actually kind of fun looking for the other folks. But like you said, there was a point where we had a Lance Stroll purple checker at a 199, and we were trying to find a Lance Stroll fan. And so I figured it'd be funny, like, okay, because there's going to be some people that just have like Aston Martin gear on. And like, there's a chance, right, that they're a Lance Stroll fan. So, my wife, Queen of the Castle, the videographer for the trip, was there. And I would go up to someone wearing Aston Martin stuff, and I would ask him, like, Lance Stroll or Fernando Alonso. And the answer pretty much always came back as Fernando Alonso. But then finally, I found someone, and I saw them like from across the way. It was like needle in a haystack. Someone was wearing a Lance Stroll hat. Like, it had the LS and the 18. I was like, oh my God, we finally found it. We're going to do it. I was like, honey, get the camera. Here we go. And so like, I tracked the guy down. I'm like, hey, I was like, Lance Stroll fan or whatever. And he's like, oh no, I'm an Alonso fan, but they didn't have any more Alonso merch. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, well, you're getting a Lance Stroll card, sir, because you're wearing the hat. So it was pretty funny. We thought we had found one, but in the end we couldn't. It was wild.
Oh, it sounds awesome. Like you said, a very lengthy trip. It sounds very worthwhile. Yeah. And like you said, I think it's great when you can connect the cards. And I mean, Formula One is global. We still have a ways to go to get out of our niche status in the collecting community, but the people that do collect Formula One are some of the most passionate fans and passionate card collectors out there. For sure.
Yeah. And I think this is a great way to do it. I mean, all the races that I'm going to, by the way, this year, I'm going to be doing this. And whenever I go to a race, I always do that. Always give away cards, merch, all that kind of stuff, because so many of the F1 fans that exist out there don't even know that the cards exist. Right. And sometimes, I'll be there opening at the Topps booth like I was in Miami last year. And like, people are so excited. They're like, oh my gosh, we had no idea that this stuff even existed. And they get into it, and like, that's how you bring in new folks, like, it's not just going to be like Topps website puts up something like, oh, Formula One, because then from there you're just grabbing collectors of other sports, and it's like, oh, well, are you interested in Formula One? Maybe not. But if you're at a Formula One race, they're into Formula One. So then it just becomes like, hey, do you want to collect the cards? And I think you find a lot of people do, especially kids. They're super into it, man. I mean, it was really heartwarming. Like, the reaction from a lot of the kids was just so epic, and it really brings me back. Like, I couldn't even imagine like being a kid at a race or something, walking around. You're 13 years old. Someone comes up and gives you like a card of your favorite driver, like and just opens you to a whole new world. I mean, just super cool experience. So really happy to do it. Be a bit of an ambassador for the cardboard world of Formula One here, and hopefully we'll get some more folks in.
That's awesome. All right, let's talk about Suzuka, because we're going to, by the time this drops on YouTube and Apple Podcasts, quick shout out to like, subscribe, and do all those other fun things. We love any reviews you could leave on Apple Podcasts for sure too.
Give us some 5-star reviews, and maybe we'll read it out on the podcast here.
Yeah, for sure. We've got a couple of those already. I'll have to embarrass our friends that I know put those in there already. For sure. But man, we love them. But yeah, no, let's talk about Suzuka real quick. So we've got our you got your castle calls that we'll go through here. Early sneak preview of what will eventually be on Instagram. But Scott, let's just talk overall about Suzuka this year. So obviously, it seems like this got moved up in the calendar.
Yep.
From when it typically was. I'm probably not going out on a limb too much here, but it seems like obviously Formula One traverses the world back and forth, and it seems to be, how do we limit that? I still think they could do better, because there's still going to be a lot of zigzagging, especially when it comes to the races here in the United States. And I'd love to see them do like a eventual like US circuit where they're just here and we get, Miami, Austin and Vegas and then Mexico, Brazil,
Right.
Liberty Media, if you're listening, I'd be happy to help you out with your schedule here.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is a step forward, right? Because we're going from Japan to China. So like we're at least, staying over on the eastern side of the globe, so to speak. But yeah, no, I mean, really excited to be in Suzuka. Suzuka, always is kind of, described as a racer's track, right? Like it's got so many high speed corners. I mean, and it really takes a lot out of you to do a lap, and you can get punished. It's an old school track where you make a mistake and you are punished for it. Like it's not like there's 50 meters of runoff. So there's some areas that are pretty hairy, and I'm really looking forward to it. Last year, obviously, Max ended up winning, and what was funny is that it was on the back of Singapore last year, where Red Bull just like didn't really get their setup right, and Max finished like sixth or something down the order, right? And he came in, he's like, I'm gonna destroy everybody in Suzuka, and he did. And I'm thinking now we might see some more of that after on the back of him DNFing in Australia. So, but I mean, on the heels of Australia again, Ferrari looking really good. Sainz, gets rid of his appendix and drops a couple tenths. So he's looking really strong. But you do have to remember last year, this was one of McLaren's best tracks because it was in the second half of the season, right? So they'd already had their upgrades. And like I said, a lot of fast corners. McLaren right now has the best car in fast corners, better than the Red Bull. So I expect to see McLaren up there. I actually, like a lot of people are thinking, because of Australia, how good Ferrari was, they think Ferrari will be the team up there challenging. I really think it's me, McLaren. I don't think Ferrari would be too far behind, but yeah, I've got my eyes on Lando and Oscar and hope to see one of them up there on the podium at least.
All right, let's go through your calls here. So like I said, early sneak preview of the Castle calls. So your poll prediction is?
Yep. Max Verstappen on pole. He did it last year. I think maybe Lando or Oscar, Perez, even a Leclerc might give him a run for his money. But man, I mean, his lap last year in Suzuka was phenomenal. And I just think he gets it done again here. I think he's gonna do it. He's gonna go all out and nail pole.
All right, let's go on to your podium predictions here. And you just kind of teased it a little bit here, but what do you got?
So podium predictions, I do think Max is going to win. It might be by a significant margin. Sorry, everyone. Listen, you got your Max DNF last race. So this is probably going to be a Max win. I do have Perez in second. I think he's going to come in strong. Red Bull in general didn't have the best weekend in Australia. And Perez was saying that if Max was hadn't DNF'd, he doesn't even think he would have won. I think Max might think differently. But Perez had said that, their car just wasn't the fastest car there that weekend. I think it will be the fastest car this weekend. I think Perez gets the job done, comes in second. And then I'm putting Lando Norris on the podium again. I think he just has still a little bit of an edge over Oscar on race pace. So I expect, honestly, to see Lando and Oscar both qualify in the top 5 or so. And then I think it's going to end up being Lando on the podium and Oscar, either a 4th or 5th finish, which is great. I think McLaren, they're right there as far as, that second team. And with Max, with the DNF, Constructors Championship actually is not too far away.
All right. Not going out on a limb too much here, but given how their racecraft has gone so far in 2024, this does have a little bit of not quite on a limb, but it's quite possible.
Yeah, there's some jeopardy here in the Castle call. I don't think it's 100% a lock, but I'm putting Yuki to get points at his home race in Japan. I love making the calls. I almost called Danny Rick to get points in Australia last weekend. He almost got there. If his qualifying lap hadn't gotten to lead, he probably would have. But I think Yuki gets it done. And again, this isn't like a slam dunk, right? Because you still have both Red Bulls, both McLarens, both Ferraris, both Aston Martins, both Mercedes to contend with, right? So like there's 10 cars that like on paper should be ahead of him. So, he's got to at least beat one of them. And then, Albon goes well here. Danny Rick could have a resurgence. So, I mean, I think he gets it done, though. I think the home crowd bolsters his spirits. And Yuki, for the second race in a row, bags some points for V-Carb.
Who just finally released their merchandise for sale.
That's right.
They would have sold a boatload last week if they had it for 2 weeks ago for Danny Rick.
It's very true.
There. So
yeah, it's a miss.
All right. We're going to close the show out here. We're going to keep it relatively on time with what we normally do here. But I did want to ask you a little bit about, I wish I could have tuned in a little bit more of this, but life gets in the way and responsibilities and whatnot. But this past weekend, you did a 20, as in 20 cases of 2023 product.
Yep. Yeah. It was a big break. Biggest break that I've done. I mean, I think, when the products first came out, both Chrome, both Sapphire, it was all like Fanatics Live, right? I ran like 30 cases or something of Chrome on Fanatics Live. I ran almost 20 cases of Sapphire on Fanatics Live. I hadn't really run any like large breaks at all on Instagram. And not everyone can join Fanatics Live, international folks and everything, and like to give some love to the community on Instagram and spread around. So we ran a big break on Instagram, 15 cases of Chrome, 5 cases of Sapphire. And I threw in a little extra incentive that was awesome. So for every one superfractor or pad barrage that I hit during the break, I gave away $500 in break credit. And so you think in Chrome, odds of hitting a superfractor is about 1 in I think it's 1 in 17 cases. So odds are that I was going to hit 1 superfractor, and then in Sapphire it's like 1 in 7. So maybe I'd hit 1 pad barrage, 1 superfractor, and give away $1,000. I had a feeling, I was like, what? It's my first time back. I'm probably going to hit like 3 or 4. It's probably going to be pretty big. So first case of Chrome, we hit an Armari Cordial superfractor auto. And shout out to F1 Ben here. But if you know anything about the 2023 product, there's no more Sato Mojo. Instead, there's the Cordial Karma. So we hit the biggest Cordial Karma literally in the world. And that just set us up for, banger after banger. The first Sapphire case we ran, we hit the Lance Stroll Pad Barrage portrait. So literally through the first 4 cases, 3 Chrome and 1 Sapphire, we already had 2. And I was like, oh boy, this is going to
get expensive.
This is going to be old. I'm going to be broke. Sebastian, no diapers. I'm eating ramen for the rest of the year. And then actually we hit the Teo Porcher Superfractor Futuro, which when I tell you, man, the Futuro Superfractors are absolutely beautiful. Like in hand, they may be the most beautiful cards that they made this year. I have to hold a Sapphire Selection Superfractor in hand to really make the comparison. I think those are going to be the 2 that it really vie for it. But man, the Teo Porcher, absolutely beautiful Superfractor Futuro, the first one that I've hit. We hit that in case like 6 or something. So, we were 8 cases in and I had already hit 3. And I was like, oh boy, there we go. And then in our 4th case of Sapphire, which was like 16th case overall, I think we hit a Max Verstappen Pad Barrage Grand Prix winner in Mexico. So we're sitting at 4. And then in the last case of Chrome, we did case 19 out of 20. We hit another Max Verstappen. This was one of his car cards, Superfractor out of Chrome. So 5 total. Gave away $2,500, $2,500 in break credit. So yeah, it was pretty epic. I was zooming. Like, you are the first person to say it when I'm going fast. You're like, oh, DRS wide open. Because, when you rip 2020 products, kind of really take your time. If you're only doing a couple boxes of 2023 Chrome or Sapphire, you can take your time. But if you're ripping, 5-10 cases or more, like you kind of, especially chrome, you really got to go through it quickly. And I had anticipated, okay, 20 cases. Chrome usually takes me a little over an hour a case. So there's 15 hours. And then Sapphire, I could probably get 5 cases done in 2. I was like, okay, this might take me like 17 hours if we have to stop, breaks, whatever, maybe you could get up to like 20, who knows. I finished it all in 14 hours.
Wow.
And it was because initially I was at 45 minutes a case on Chrome. By the end of it, I did the last case, and that was while stopping to, bask in the glory of the max superfractor. So probably could have done even quicker. 33 minutes.
That's amazing.
For a 2023 Chrome case. It's a lot of packs to rip in 33 minutes. We were literally going turbo DRS mode to get it all done. But got it all done 14 hours. Everyone was loving it, in and out. I think, on average, we probably had like, 35. Wasn't like a crazy viewership number, up to like 60 at some point. But it was a lot of fun. People were coming in, different times. I started at 9 a.m. Eastern. And finished in the evening that night, right around 11 o'clock. So it was a full like day's work for sure, but really fun. We'll probably do it again. Probably run one on Fanatics Live, another one on Instagram, just go back and forth. But yeah, super cool. It was and thank you everyone. By the way, thank you everyone who joined in that break. Really do appreciate the support. So congratulations on all the hits. Congratulations on the $2,500 in break credit as well. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So if you break a lot of cards, you potentially going to have a lot of cards to sell. So
yeah, so we do have a lot of cards, and most of these coming up here are going to be on consignment. But so we're going to run the first ever single stream, first ever F1 Castle single stream. It is going to be on Fanatics Live. So this upcoming Friday, I haven't completely nailed down a time yet, but this upcoming Friday, you'll see it. I'll be promoting on my Instagram. But this upcoming Friday, we're running some single streams, baby. We're gonna get some cards out there. Everything's gonna start at $1. We've got 2023 Sapphire, 2023 Chrome, mostly 2023 for this. We've got everything from oranges, might have some purples in there, maybe even some reds. Some variations out of Sapphire, big portraits, Behrman, Max, Lewis, a lot of stuff. And there'll be stuff that's cheap. You'll be able to pick up some of these cards for a few bucks, honestly. So it's got cards for everyone. If you collect 2023, it's everybody's budget will be touched on here. We've got cards that'll go from anywhere to, maybe even some of the cards that go for $1. You never know. And then we've got some nice ones as well. So that'll be fun. And we'll be doing giveaways during it as well. And then I'll probably have some breaks coming up on Saturday on Fanatics Live. So I might like throw those in the live. You'll be able to pre-buy your slots. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to it. Should be a good time.
Yeah, I saw you last week do some like mini Chrome Sapphire mixers. Produce some pretty good cards. So
dude, yeah. And that's what we're gonna do again this Saturday. So the mixers are 3 boxes of Chrome and 1 box of Sapphire. And I think that is like the perfect combo, because if you do like 2 and 2, sometimes 2 boxes of Chrome doesn't give you enough to like really, produce something out of there. And if you add in 2 boxes of Sapphire, it can get expensive, because Sapphire is like over twice the cost now of Chrome.
Nobody has Sapphire. Like you cannot buy Sapphire hardly like anywhere. So if you want Sapphire, the F1 Castle has some.
We've got quite a bit. Listen, I worked hard to make sure we've have a lot available for folks, and we're going to continue to offer it throughout the year, because that's what we do. But yeah, so I'm going to run some more. It'll be similar. 3 boxes of Chrome, 1 box of Sapphire. Last time we ran it, we got a gold wave Leclerc auto. We got an orange turn up the lights Leclerc, a gold Max Camber, Max IV, a gold Speed Demons, Oscar Piastri. We had a ton of great hits in Chrome. And then in Sapphire, we had Piastri. In 1 box, we had a Piastri out of 15, and hit like another orange somebody. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was a solid few boxes of Sapphire as well. So yeah, no, it was really fun. and we'll probably do some similar style breaks coming up on this Saturday.
And having said at the beginning of the episode, I've been seeing a lot of 2023 cards now. I think I'm ready to call. I think I prefer Sapphire to Chrome. So, like I said, Sapphire is going to dry up fairly quick, and I think the prices are only going to go up. So, not that this is an investment advice in any way, but if you think you're going to want some of these cards, it's better to get in now before these. I think the prices are going to jump, and we've talked about before too. If you go back a couple episodes ago, the Sapphire print run is actually around 2020, or if potentially even less. And if you think about how rare 2020 is to come across now, I'm not saying that a lot of the cards in 2023 are going to hold a candle to 2020, but when we're talking about rarity,
Sapphire selections, mate.
Oh, I had a couple Sapphire selections in hand. I was able to pick up one of my own. I got a max base, which, and still a base. I mean, shout out to Lando Cardrissian on Instagram. There's only like 76 to 80-ish of those, even though they're not numbered. They're actually more rare than like image we just had on the screen here with the base Sapphire image variations that are to 99, which should have been Aqua tops. But oh man, it's just an exciting time. We've got the race coming up. The cards are always there to always get us talking, and as we've mentioned before too, the hobby just is awesome. Just new people coming in all the time, and we're here to help veteran collectors, new collectors learn. I mean, we're both very passionate about this and have been since the initial launch. And I still, these many years, 3 years later, still love talking about this stuff.
Yeah. Actually, like literally 3 years later, like pretty much like 3 years and maybe a month is like when this stuff came out, for the first time, the 2020 product. So yeah, no, it's been a wild ride. It's been a lot of fun, and Topps, I guess we should really quick at the end here touch on the fact that Topps just inked the new deal with Formula One to keep the licensing. So we're going to see many more years of Formula One cards to come. So that's super exciting. And that's why we didn't see any Topps Now cards, and everyone was like, oh, they're not doing Topps Now anymore. But I think they were just waiting on that licensing. So yeah, super excited.
And yeah, we didn't touch on that as well. The Topps Now is back. So we're going to have that Bearman card that we were talking about. So actually those ended. So this is the recording on April 3rd. I think the orders for that ended on April Fool's Day, 4/1. So I'm interested to see what the print run on that's going to be. I don't think it's been published yet, but those should be shipping out soon. And hopefully people are able to, if they ordered some, to be able to get some of the parallels, the serial parallels. So
congratulations to whoever hits the 1 of 1. That's going to be an epic card.
I had so many reward points on my Topps account. I think I got like 3 or 4 different bundles of Bearman cards, just hoping.
Smart.
I was talking to one person and they were like, I wonder how many bundles are too many. I was like, well, there's only so many parallels. You might end up with an empty paper bag, so you might want to not go too crazy. But
yeah, well, who knows? Maybe those base will hold up. We'll have to see what the print run looks like.
So very cool. All right, so just quick shout out. We're on the Apple Podcasts now. Again, thanks to everybody that has tuned in, listened. Hopefully do all the like, subscribe, and ratings and stuff. Scott and I both greatly appreciate it. It helps get this out to more people and to help grow the Formula One card hobby. So very good stuff there. All right, Scott, we didn't quite make 30 minutes. We both love to talk and we got rambling. So hopefully around 35 minutes-ish here we're going to end at. So I will throw it over to you to bring this home.
All right. Well, remember everyone, collect your cardboard and keep it carbon.